see we got the snow flurries. We're in Chicago, about to do a quick pop-up here with the peoples, man. Nas picked this time of the year to come to Chicago. I usually wait till spring, because spring in Chicago is fire, but we gonna knock it out now. I think Nas is late too. Yeah, later than me. I have a question first. How many of you guys own your residence that you live in? Own a residence that you live in? It's okay. I just moved into my first residence that I own and live in. You know, I think there's a lack of people talking about personal home ownership, right? A lot of people are just jumping into like, yo, get you an investments and do 1 to 4 units and do this and that. Yeah, that's very true, but I think a lot of us, we have to understand where everybody is in this game. So it's hard to say, go from not owning a home to buying a 4-unit. There's a saying that says most millionaires invest in came from real estate, right? What's the stat? 70%. Do you know what they're talking about? They're talking about home equity. They're talking about equity in your home. They're not talking about actual real estate investors. So remember that when they talk about 70% of millionaires invest in real estate, they're talking about that they have a personal residence. Most of them just have a personal residence, has a lot of equity. So don't be ashamed and don't be afraid to go out and purchase your own house. I know a lot of people talk about everything else. Buy your own house too. That's something that makes you powerful as well. Just because you lived there for 30 years don't mean it's yours. Not yours. You just said somebody will come offer $300,000 and you will get a 30-day notice. So capital gain. So if you sell that house and you're married and you make $500,000 in profit, you pay 0 taxes on that.
I call myself a 9-to-5 millionaire. Right, because I worked my job. A lot of people, you know, it's real popular to say, quit your job. Man, if you want to make it in life, quit your job. You know, just step out on faith. I'm the type to say, no, keep your job. Because your job is going to be your #1 investor for what you're about to embark in as far as real estate. Get that. I'm an average person that lives a phenomenal life. The thing I love about what these brothers up here teaching y'all is that real estate is for everybody. I go to a lot of conferences, a lot of seminars, and people be selling all types of stuff.
All types
Even like E.T., any of y'all know E.T.?
Yeah.
The one motivation speaker in the world? E.T. got a coaching class where he teach people how to be motivational speakers. And I sit back in the back of the room and I'm like, none of y'all gonna be like him. You know what I'm saying? No matter, I'm like, E, you teaching people, but the truth is nobody gonna be like you. You got a gift. But when we all stand up here and talk about real estate, this is the one thing that everybody can do. And the reason why I believe that is because all of you all are doing it already. The level of exposure will determine the level of success. Your level of exposure. Y'all getting talked to right now by the best. And people call me one of the top real estate gurus. I'm not a wholesaler. Actually, I am wholesaling a portfolio and making $1.7 million in one deal. But I'm not a wholesaler. But I appreciate brothers like this. You know what I'm saying? They're the professionals in that. I'm the professional in if you got a 9-to-5 and you want to learn how to become a millionaire while still working your job, come see me. I can show you exactly how to do that.
Most of us look at life a different way where you got to get a job in order to afford the life you want to live. And then you never factor in the cost of actually living. What he did is he went out and bought assets to pay for his liability, but he reverse engineered how he wanted his life to actually look. And there's power behind actually writing out exactly what you want your life to be. And when you do that, you will go out and seek those things that you actually need to be able to afford the lifestyle that you want to live. It's real simple. Like he said, we all in real estate. You just might not be you might be on the side that's writing a check versus receiving one on the first. That's dope for you to come up here, man. I'm glad you met. We're gonna exchange information before you get out of here. This is the power of real estate. And another thing he talked about is proximity. You can't be what you can't see. And so his exposure to that millionaire lifestyle showed him what it really was. I'll be really honest that when I became financially independent, I promise you, they say money can't buy happiness, but you don't have the same problems. Like, you do not think about what things cost. You think about, do I have the time to go do this, or is it smart for me to go do? Versus, can I afford it? You know, things like that. And that's just an easier lifestyle to live than the other way. But we all can do it. It's just that most of us have been programmed a certain way to think of life a certain way. It's beneficial for entrepreneurs and business owners and big corporations for you to continue to think the way you think. We need workers. If you're gonna sell your time for $20, $30, $40 an hour, we will gladly buy it. And all we're gonna do is charge the next person $120 for the same time and same hour you sold us for $40. It's just how it works. And so you gotta figure out what part of this equation, what part of this chess game do you wanna be? And it's not hard. I don't think, and I know you didn't come from a wealthy background. I didn't come from a wealthy background. So that's no longer an excuse. Our skin color is no longer an excuse. We got to network with each other that we can make things whatever we want. It's out there. It's out there. It's powerful. And we just got to want it enough, and we got to go out there and go get it.
Good. So I have a question about commercial real estate. How could wholesalers get involved with commercial? Can we wholesale commercial buildings, large multifamily, retail strip malls? And if so, who do we need to talk to kind of find the way and navigate that process?
I think it just comes down to studying your niche, right? I think everybody has their lane when it comes to real estate. Is such a broad thing to get into. And so being a wholesaler is not a bad thing as long as you know there's another level. There's a reason why you're making all that money, right? And so you look at like car dealerships, right? You can either have a car dealership that sells Lamborghinis or Nissans. You may sell 5 Lamborghinis a month and 2,000 Nissans a month. It doesn't matter, it's your niche. And the reality is that Audi owns Lamborghini because Lamborghini can't sell enough and make enough high-end cars to actually be a successful business. So it comes down to educating yourself. And if you find an opportunity where there's a $1-point-something million wholesale deal, you can do it because real estate is real estate. And the higher the numbers are, it's more of just creating a vision for somebody else to buy. Right? When it comes down to the smaller numbers, you actually have to make that thing happen. You get what I'm saying? So when you go to wholesale an apartment community, you gotta show that this thing is underperforming. You're getting an asset that's way below. It could be way better if you invest this. So you're painting this picture for the next guy and you want to be in the middle. It's possible, but it all comes down to studying. You can do one deal every year, make $1 million. Or you can, it just depends on what your level of complexity that you want to go into actually diving into it. You can wholesale anything. I can wholesale these chairs we sit on. These chairs are the same chairs you'll see in most restaurants. These chairs are the same chairs you'll see in most high-end. I just got married and these are the same exact chairs, just painted a different color that was at the venue that was $30,000. Somebody's wholesaling these chairs, right? So it's just where you want to be at. And so there's a niche for everybody in real estate. Real estate's so broad, don't be ashamed that, don't feel like getting into commercial is your next step. It should be a step that you want to get in because the spreads are bigger, the things are bigger, but you got to educate yourself. And that's all wholesaling is. Wholesaling is the ground floor to be able to get in and learn real estate at a very cheap price while making money doing it. And as you make money and you get more education, you're gonna go buy a rental property because you found it dirt cheap and you renovated it and you kept it. And then you're gonna wholesale another 2 deals and you're like, oh, I'm gonna keep this one. And so one of my mentors told me very early on, is like, look, you can wholesale all you want to, but you need a wholesaling business plan. And most people are like, yeah, I'm just gonna wholesale everything I see. The reality is you need to come up with, every 7 properties I wholesale, I'm gonna buy one. Every 5 properties I wholesale, I'm gonna buy one. And then you're gonna get addicted to actually owning because you're gonna see that the passive income is gonna be way better than that active income you got to do every single month. And so there's just a transition. But I've always said, I don't care when I become a billionaire, I'm still going to be wholesaling. The reason is I'm just going to be wholesaling different things like, towers. And so the idea is because that money is so fast and quick, you have a niche that you specialize in, you can take that money and then go 10x it in what you're actually specialized in. Take the knowledge you learned from getting in wholesaling early with real estate in general and catapult your industry wherever you want to go.
My struggle is I can do this myself, right? Like I can get a couple people together, we can do it, can grind, we can knock out deals consistently. My thing is how are you growing?
So you got to offer a competitive salary to get top talent because depending on the position, that's going to depend on what skills you want. For a sales position, which is somebody that's closing deals, you want money motivated people. You don't want nobody that's behind the desk close. I want to fiddle their thumbs and scared to talk. You want people that want to go out there and close deals because they want money. As long as they follow the process that you gave them, then they should be able to, reach that 6-figure salary. Get their base plus commissions. But it's identifying what positions you want to do. And as far as if you're in step 1 of scaling, I would strongly recommend the first thing you should do is get off the phones. Hire for that first because the phones is not the best use of your time because it is when you're a one-man band, but going through, pounding out those phones to get those 2 or 3, 4 good leads a day, you can pay somebody to do that. And then you start off with 2 to 4 good leads you get a day, you close those. Okay, so now you close those, then you hire that out, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's what I think you should do.
I would say this is actually a struggle for every solopreneur out there in the world, is that how do you grow and scale your current business? And I didn't do it in the beginning. That I learned until after a year or so was that I needed to start recording my processes of what I'm doing every single day, whether that's videos on how I do this, that, and the third, in order to be able to duplicate that to somebody else to be able to do it. So you need to have very straightforward SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, or very, very detailed ways of how you do things. And then the hiring process, no company in this world has ever figured it out, like to the T. And so that's gonna come down to you having to mesh personalities with people, but also going after the right skills and talent so that, you know, they can actually perform and do the job. It's one of the hardest things. I've had a big office since 2019. I've never had it full yet because hiring is such a hard process. But it's things that you do over and over and over again. But you need to document your process. And as passionate as you are about your thing, it's gonna be very hard for you to find that passion out of somebody else. So understand that they're not gonna care as much as you, and they shouldn't because it's not their business, right? But sometimes you can find an employee that thinks like an owner, which is a book. You should get that one too.
In this business, they talk a lot about spending your time doing revenue generating activities. So for those of us who are trying to grow our personal brand, how do you balance the revenue generating activities with, you know, spending time building social media content? And because that takes a lot of effort to record and
it's a
plan
job.
content. You know, how do you balance that time? Because there's not a return right away on social media. It takes a long time to build a brand.
The reason why I quit YouTube at one point, right, is because of I'm running the business, I'm doing the editing, I'm doing everything all by myself. I didn't know to hire it out. It wasn't really lucrative. I didn't have a coaching program. I'm just giving all information out for free, just to document my journey and help you guys, right? And what happened was I joined this mastermind like 2016 or so, and I stopped YouTubing and just focused on my business, turned that into a seven-figure real estate business. Then I linked up with this guy in 2018. The first thing he says is, dude, you gotta get back on YouTube. And shows me his back office, right? So from him showing me that, I'm like, man, you probably right. I do get on YouTube. I ain't never get a check like this. The YouTube people owe me. I learned you will need a team. So you're gonna have your real estate business, you're gonna need a team for that, and you will need a team for your social media stuff. That is a job. That is a job. Like Aaron over there is my camera guy, and he travels with me. The videos I put out daily on Instagram, he shoots those. And now I understand from being around this guy that that's just a bill, you know, that you just have to pay. And so what I would say, start off, do it from your phone. That's how I started off doing it by myself. So he started off, just do it from your phone, document, and just putting it out there. Don't worry about perfect, just worry about done and putting it out there until you see some type of return of you can start taking money from the real estate business, the place over here to get better content, but just have a plan of how you're going to monetize that content. Because the first time I went in, I had no plan. I was just doing it, so it led me to quit. Whereas he had a whole full out plan, and you know, it took him to the top.
You know, everybody needs a personal brand, but not for all the same reasons. Your personal brand could just be that you're the #1 go guy wholesaler in Chicago that can find a buyer for any property. I think a lot of people want to get their brand to go national for selfish reasons. That's not how I started my brand at all. And now everybody has a YouTube channel. Everybody is doing you know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of, I've actually scaled back because there's just so much fakeness out there. But yeah, a personal brand is needed. But one thing I will say is there's a balance between doing real estate and doing content. And you don't want this content to start being more than you're actually doing what you're talking about. And that's what a lot of people do, because you can go out there and get a lot of views and be broke. But there's a lot of real estate investors you don't know that's way richer than anybody in this room. So you gotta understand what you're doing it for. And my intention when I started was to never actually go out there. I was doing it for accountability. If you go back and look at my first videos, I was making videos for accountability so my friends on Facebook could watch me. because this was like my 15th business I was starting. I was like, this one's for real. And so, I was doing it for accountability reasons for myself. And then when I fell in love with it, and I made a video called How I Bought a Piece of Land for $250, and it went viral. And then people started asking me questions like, well, I know the answers to this. Let me just do something. And then I just started going live on Instagram twice a week, every week, wouldn't miss. And that back then they had a limit of like 35, 40 minutes. You can go live and it'll cut you off. And so I started growing my brand and people started resonating. And then the thing that I did was I didn't sell anything. I wasn't selling a course. I had nothing to sell. I was literally so excited that I wasn't broke no more. I was just happy to talk to people. And so I started giving the information. I was learning it. And I remember one of the top podcasts in real estate in the country, I used to listen to all the time. The guy reached out to me and was like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, why are you giving away all this information for free? I was like, what do you mean? He was like, I'm making $90,000 a week coaching and you're gonna sabotage. And that's somebody I looked up to through podcasts and YouTube videos. And I was like, okay, I get the game. And I doubled down. I started giving more free content. Then I created Wholesaling Houses Elite Facebook group. And it was 120,000 people in there that was just giving away information. There was no paywall. Now, it wasn't until October of 2020
we
put out it was my first course ever. Because him and I teamed up to say, yo, there's a lot of BS out there. Let's put something out there that's affordable. And let's go out there and actually do it. And he's a guru. He actually really does this business. I really do this business. And most guys will never show you the office because they don't have one. Like, they don't have employees. I have 22 employees. And so there's this real side of that. You got to get your business established, and then you got to figure out, why am I creating content? Is it for personal selfish reasons, or am I really out here trying to help people? And so there's a lot of this personal selfish reason stuff out here. But then there's a micro reason why you need to create a brand. Not to blow up on YouTube, but just to be known on the south side of Chicago as the #1 real estate guy. Every business needs that. You're a business. And so that's why you create content so that local people can know who you are and it can help your family and you gain business. But everybody needs a brand, but just not a national brand. Both. So 22 employees span across 3 different companies. Airplanes. So I do manufacture airplanes, sell and manufacture airplanes. I have a company that does that. I do real estate, investing, flipping and stuff like that. And then I have my media company. So that across that you have 22 employees. A lot of them used to be mainly just in real estate, but now we have 4 or 5 people we're hiring on the media team. So now I got married and my wife also does media, and so now we need all these other people to help us with her stuff. And it's an investment. I mean, we spend $1 million just on payroll just for the media side. It's expensive, but if you know what you're doing, you can make that in a month. A good deal never looks for money. Money always looks for a good deal, and that just holds true. And so if you focus on going out there and finding the good deal, the money's gonna come to you. So a lot of people, when I hear them say that they're having a hard time finding buyers, it's stopping them it's a good excuse to not start. And so I just tell you to blow it out of your mind, go find a good deal, you get a buyer. And if you ever need a buyer, walk into an office like this right here, because they literally give loans to people every day. People don't even talk about in this business. Call somebody that's a loan broker that deals with investors and say, and I got a deal, I'm gonna call you. And I guarantee you'll get crazy offers. It still hasn't changed. I think a lot of people, listen, I own software companies with some of my friends, and software is cool and technology is cool, but the old-fashioned way of driving around and looking at properties and neighborhoods still holds to be the best way to go out and find your first deal. It just is. It's simple. I wish I could go ahead and sell you something to make you go out there and do something different, but it truly is, because there's so many different things you gain from driving around. You get to see a house being renovated, pull over. You might find somebody there that got money, or somebody that's flipping the property. You might find contractors. All these things, and you just understand, you can see when the neighborhoods is going up, when they're going down, which ones are the new ones, and so I still think the education that you get from driving around and looking at property is still one of the best ways to go out there and find it, hands down. There's other ways you can do it, But a lot of it, I mean, I talk about a lot of the other ways, but I still think when you're starting out, if you're willing to spend every free moment you have driving around, look, it's about to start getting dark at 7 soon. So ain't no excuse, you know, here in the next few weeks when we do change the times or whatever it is.
Right.
You know, so I want everybody to go out there. If you're starting out, just go look, go drive. You might not even like real estate. You might want to do something else. Driving online is cool. Driving on person is way better. Here's the thing about me. I love wholesaling because it's allowed me to never get a loan. I don't have a single loan on anything I own. Some people say that's stupid. Yeah, it might be. But that active cash that you get from real estate allows you to go do crazy things with real estate. I could have a 10X portfolio if I wanted to go get loans, if that's what you want to do. The thing is that if you want to scale your wholesaling business, there's simple ways to do that. You know, go from a couple deals to 4 deals to 5 deals. And it's real simple. It's just spending more money in marketing and tweaking it. And then you'll get more numbers in. And it's very important when you start out to track your KPIs, your key performance indicators, to find out where your money is actually coming from and where you're actually going to pour the money into in order to make that thing go up. There's not a form of marketing out there that doesn't work. I know people that are successful sending letters. I know people that are super successful driving. I know people super successful text messaging, cold calling, you name it, sniping, courthouse, like all these things. So what happens is the best people that I see are very consistent at what they're good at.
What was the next like transaction types that you did?
I didn't really get serious with renting until I seen his rental properties. One day he stunned on me. And then I went to go buy some rental properties. I did some fix and flips because I had the connections with the contractors. And then I started getting into like, oh, I can find wholesale deals, fix them up, and then just keep them as rentals. Figure out that pathway and do that 5-to-1, 7-to-1, whatever it is. And every 7 wholesale deals, you buy a rental property. You know, whatever that plan is, and you just start to scale.
Earlier you asked what are the biggest struggles we're seeing. So me, here in Cook County, one of my biggest struggles is when I get a property under contract, get a motivated seller, they're willing to sell it for almost nothing, right? But they owe so much, and delinquent taxes and water bills. Cook County puts a 12% statutory interest that compounds, so pretty much doubles every 6 years, to a point where there's not any opportunity for investors to come in and pay off that debt and flip it for a profit. So us as wholesalers are supposed to be problem solvers. I could list it if I'm a broker, I am, but there's no room. Nobody's gonna buy it for the amount that they owe. So the only option for them is to let it go. Is there any other ways that you gentlemen have seen to solve problems like that when they're stuck? Because that's, I probably say 5 out of 10 leads I get are in that situation.
Anything can be negotiated except for taxes. However, in Mecklenburg County, we don't have that water bill issue.
No.
Yeah, we don't have
Ours are private companies.
Yeah, ours are private, so we don't have that issue.
One thing that I would get very versed in is look at your state statutes here and literally study it. And so you can download the state statute probably in a PDF or something like that and do like Alt F and find and literally type in the word probate and literally start going. This is real nerdy. And you go in there and you start reading the probate process that is required by state law. And once you learn that process like the back of your hand, you'll start to be able to unravel these things as deals that people just give away. Probate was my bread and butter. Probate and delinquent taxes, since we're a tax deed state, was my bread and butter. It's because the bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the check. Like you literally, I've seen deals that are wrapped in probate that people walk away, you know, after doing all the research. And I'm like, oh yeah, we can do this, we can do that, we can do that. I mean, so even now, like my first attorney that I had, I stole his paralegal. She works in my office now because she used to do all his foreclosures and probate deals. And I needed her skill. And so I brought her over to work at our office. And so the whole thing is there's people out there that specialize in it. And I'm telling you, you can live off of just probate. Here's a hack in my business that I put knowledge on too. I'm very involved in local politics. You know those $2,000 dinners and those fundraisers to save the pets? I go to those. And that's because I need to be able to pick up the phone, favor for favor. That's just how this world works, whether you like it or not. It's either you're gonna be a part of it or you're gonna be on the suffering side. So you have to be involved, and you need to get close to those people. There's a utilities billing manager in this city. Find out who him or her is, get close to them, get close to their cousin, whatever it is, right? And that's just how this works. Sometimes you gotta pay a little money to make a bill disappear. It happens. I'm just saying, if you want to solve a problem, that's where you have to go. So it sounds crazy, but that's really what happens.